Hello everyone, welcome to another redstone video. It's been a while since I've uploaded, but hello again. Um, Today I'm actually not going to be talking about like one singular component or part like I've done a couple of times in the past. I've designed a kelp farm. This is the first version. This is the second version that we're looking at. Those in the distance were made by a friend of mine that actually helped me design some of these pieces. Because he took me making a kelp farm as a challenge to make a better one, and with his help, the design definitely improved. Um, but basically, I'm going to run you through it from top to bottom, sort of in order of where the kelp goes and flows. Um, and yeah, let's just get started. And there's also an ingredient list there. I'll show it to you later on in the video. Basically, we start with a fairly basic kelp farm. We have the kelp here on some glass in this case, although that one doesn't really matter. It has one block, so it doesn't get fully broken and can just, keep growing. Then we have the pistons, a couple of blocks, and some observers. The observers see when the kelp is long enough, then break it all off. And then that's done by this redstone line, so they see it. It runs through here. Repeater sees this block powered and powers the pistons. Then they end up in this little hopper line through the water, which is stored in these stairs and stopped by the trapdoors. So it drops down into this hopper line. Hopper line goes into this chest. I've emptied everything out and stuff for now, so I can show you exactly what it does. Now this looks a little bit like spaghetti, I will admit, but there is a reason for that. Basically, the comparator sees whenever there's any kelp at all in the chest, which starts this little redstone signal. Because it's still only one strength, it doesn't reach over here yet. You've got the repeater here powering this one, and that's actually quite important because when it hits the second signal strength, this target block and repeater will power through this piece of stone, circling it back, so it stays it stays powered up until this one gets depowered. And at that point, there's no more items left in the chest. So basically, it makes sure that all of the items filter out of the chest before it locks up the hopper again. And how it locks up the hopper is like this. We have the redstone torch that gets turned off when everything's powered, runs through that line, which powers this target block and piston. And the piston blocks the minecart hopper from continuing. The target block powers the hopper, blocking it. It is quite important that this part of the line is a glass block, or at least a transparent block, because of the fact that there's a torch under here. And otherwise it will just permanently be powered and break the farm. But then it goes into this minecart hopper when there's enough kelp, and that distributes the kelp so we can burn it in the smokers. And I'm going to show that off right now by doing that. There we go. As you can see, it takes like 6 at a time. Throwing it into these guys. They all had one dried kelp block in here beforehand. I probably should have shown you that. But basically, it's going to keep grabbing some kelp and going back and forth. There's one sad little thing about this system, which is that there's always going to be a little bit of kelp left from when the chest is empty, but the hopper is not yet. You could probably fix this with the same system, but I couldn't figure out how to fit that in here. So I didn't do that. But basically, all of these start burning kelp, as you can see. We'll get to the fuel delivery in a little bit. Then it all burns and it passes the dried kelp through this hopper line. There it is. We follow that dried kelp over here into an autocrafter. The autocrafter, bam, crafts kelp blocks and does it with this. And for that, I'm actually going to go all the way over here, which is the system from above. Basically, it's a little bit flipped here, but basically, stuff goes into the crafter that the comparator sees how much stuff there is in the crafter. It also sees that this entire thing is blocked up, giving the signal strength of a fully full crafter. So when those two are the same, aka this crafter is full, sends a signal from there to there, following all the way over here, powering the crafter and actually crafting the item, putting it in the chest because it spits it out. When this fills up, it spits it out right to the front. And we do all the way over here. That goes into a hopper, into a chest. And the reason why we have this go into a hopper, into a chest is because of the way that I've built the... this needs a slope, so it can get started easily. And if I put that here, it'll block... the rails will be blocked by the wall. So that's why they're a little bit in a circle, instead of just directly a chest right under here. But as soon as an item hits the little chest, it'll immediately be taken into the hopper. Comparator sees that because there is a detector rail under here, instead of just a normal one. Gives off a signal, depowers the piston, and lets our little minecart go. Are we close? We're nearly there, probably. They're fizzling out. This one still has fuel because it gets more fuel whenever it goes past. Because of the fact that it picks up 6, it delivers, it actually delivers twice to this one. So that first one is kind of emptied out a little bit more. As you could see, it gets back to the thingy with the detector rail. But basically, as soon as that minecart has an item, my bad. As soon as the minecart has an item, it gets shot right over here. And this little path is the fuel delivery. Basically what this does is it has 2 hopper lines, one of which gets blocked as soon as there's an item in it. And the way we do that is by looking at the hoppers through these blocks with comparators. Comparators power this one, and we're actually about to see it in action. Comparators power this block, that powers the redstone. Repeaters see that this block is powered with the redstone, and then, that repeats once. And then we have these blocks under here, which power the hoppers, allowing them to not take anything and not, let anything flow through. And because of that, we wait until this entire line is full. So all of the hoppers have the same amount of fuel in it, called 1 kelp block. So everything has 1 kelp block in it, because nothing can take more than that. And then it powers this little line up, depowers this redstone torch, which depowers these pistons, removing, just for a really quick moment, that removes the detection, allowing the fuel to flow through, and it resets itself. Now the minecart actually drops down there right after this, and it goes into this little thing. This could be shorter, but there were more chests there, which is why it's still a little bit long. And these glass blocks are here to make sure that it doesn't glitch weirdly over the rails, because everything's so close together. And there is just 2 hoppers here with a chest in order to keep track of any possible... It shouldn't be possible to have an overflow because everything ends up in one round of hoppers and then flows through to the fuel slot. So that it shouldn't ever have anything to drop here, but I've just been using it as a storage for all of the kelp that I've gathered while doing this. Because as you can see, there's a slight overflow because it actually does turn a profit, which is what we want because it's a fuel farm. Yeah. That's basically the entire system. So now I can show you the ingredients for it. The ingredients. Feels like I'm talking about a meal. The components for it. But basically we have 51 wool in total, different colors. Um, Obviously the colors don't matter, but they're, I need to be able to tell my circuits apart. Then we have the stairs into trapdoors for the kelp farm, chests, which are just all over the build, the two crafters, a ton of iron and stuff. But yeah, all of this is what I had to use to make it. And there are some blocks that you can remove. Like if you make a little bit of a water flow at the kelp farm, you can probably, remove some hoppers and you can remove some of the glass and like 6 stone over there if you make the track a little bit shorter. But I didn't do that, so oops. But basically, these are all the components. Again, in like a little bit of a shorter list, or written down rather than over all those signs. And then we have the total ingredients list. So all of the stuff that you would need to make, which I actually found a website for. I calculated it with a website, which is very handy, and I will link that in the description. Subscription. You should subscribe, but in the description. Um, it uses a lot of iron, and I'm very glad that I have an iron farm in my survival world, in which I will be building this. I stream it over on Twitch, so if you want to come watch that, feel free to. We'll also be linking my Twitch in the description. But thank you so much for watching. I hope you learned something, are inspired, or whatnot. And I hope to see you again next time we're on my Twitch chat. Bye bye!